Federal Inland Revenue Service of Nigeria board has shown interest in developing partnership collaboration with our Kenya Revenue Authority. This partnership is aimed at collaborating in various programs to reform our tax administrations with a view to enhancing revenue mobilization for our respective countries. Benchmarking with those who have succeeded in implementing novel tax administration measures is key strategy in enhancing revenue mobilization. These engagements are fundamental in building and fostering strong relations with all our stakeholders, both locally, regionally, and also globally, with the aim of enhancing efficiency in tax administration. As the revenue collection agency in Kenya, KRA has been instrumental in Kenya's development agenda through efficient and effective revenue mobilization strategies. This has been achieved through consistent focus on reforms that are geared towards streamlining revenue administration processes. Some of the reforms have revolved around re-engineering business processes by leveraging on technology.
The vision of us is to deliver quality service to the taxpayer in partnership with stakeholders. We are very, very particular about our stakeholders, because without collaboration, we probably would get it wrong along the line, and we won't get the right cooperation to do this, and to make taxation the pivot for national development. And that would also tell you about our collection. The country, to a great extent, depends on the collection of taxes and ensure that these taxes enhance development at all stratas, both the local, the state, and the federal government levels. And we operate an efficient tax and transparent tax system, that optimizes revenue collection and voluntary compliance. Voluntary compliance is very key. We want to get to a point. We have an automation called a solution, tax administration called Tax Promax, which allows taxpayers to log on, assess, and pay their taxes. So we are very particular about voluntary compliance to make sure that the service can run smoothly. We encourage taxpayers to log on and do what they need to do. We have 7 committees, which is slightly different from yours. You have 4. We have the technical committee, which is chaired between the executive chairman, because it's technical, it's operations, and a board member, Madam Ehile. We have the risk management committee, which deals with risk, enterprise risk. We have the staff and general purpose committee, chaired by the Registrar General CAC, Alhaji Abubakar. We have what we call engagement, enlightenment, and communications committee. We have the ICT, that is the engine room of the service, automation, which is chaired by Ajia Ladidi. We have the revenue and finance committee, takes care of the collection. The finance and administration takes care of everything, the structures, procurement. It has to superintend the activities around all those things. And we have what we call the audit committee. Audit is critical for us. Now, the board is empowered to get an independent audit firm to audit the service. It's a responsibility of the board. Beyond that, the Audit General has staff permanent in the office. But at the end of every year, the audit firm audits the activities of the service. The board in itself has, we do 4 meetings quarterly, but there are also room for emergency meetings.
4 meetings
annually. Every quarter, sorry. And there's room for emergency meetings. if the need arises, the board is brought together to take critical decisions. And the committees actually meet 2 weeks before every board meeting. They meet 2 weeks before the board meeting and look at the various departments of the service, look at the challenges, provide solutions, and ratify this decision at the board meeting. It is so important that that is done. There is no decision, including employment, it has to come to the board for ratification. Promotion has to come to the board for ratification. Whatever we do, the committee superintendent, because they are also arms of the board, but the ratification must come from the board. All the policies and the strategies, the board ensures that the staff, they make sure that they do the right thing. They get it done and get the policies and strategies out in collaboration. They work with management to ensure these are done and ratifies with the board. And I think beyond that, international organization, we collaborate with ITAF, WATAF, West Africa. You have East Africa, we have West Africa. We have OECD, we have World Bank, we have IMF, we have SIAT. In fact, SIAT is holding its meeting next week in Spain, and the service is also going to be there. And OECD is having the framework meeting also next week in France. The service is also going to be there.
Then for us to implement the corporate plan, the targets and the initiatives that are in the annual plan are cascaded into each department performance contract. So each commissioner every year prepares a performance contract, and all the targets that are in the corporate plan, in the annual plan, are cascaded into the commissioner's performance contract.
The critical word is to know where you want to go, where you are and where you want to go. Define your roadmap very clearly, like we have done, and then interrogate what is out there yourself. And through your legal processes, ours we have a very rigorous procurement process, then you select carefully the partner whom you want to work with. That's number one. Number two, you must develop internal capacity. Relying on these people becomes very, very challenging, it's very expensive, and also they will hold you by the throat. So you must develop your internal capacity. So we are right now enhancing our internal capacity for development, for innovation and everything, so that then your people, once they have the technology has been developed, they can take it up and be able to move with it forward, like Nigeria has done in the internal system that we talked about. Very important. Of course, then you have to be very vibrant, because things are changing very fast out there. And like we rolled out our iTax in 2013, now we are talking about another version of it, because this one is already too old. Already too old.
And it's billion.
So, and it's very expensive. So it's about that and understanding what will move you forward. We know technology is a way. For us, we know three things will take us forward. We know technology is number one, number two is integrity, and number three is performance. Performance accountability. Those three things will take us forward, alongside what you talked about, very robust customer/stakeholder engagement. Those are the four things we run with. And then the fifth one, of course, we ensure we have a very competent workforce that then is aligned to our strategy. So I think your question of technology, everyone finds it difficult.
Yes,
but we must, those two things too, identify where you want to go, scan the environment to get the kind of partners who you can work with. Once you identify them and they develop, have the internal capacity to drive what you have brought in. Otherwise, you'll be held captive and you will not be able to move forward. That's how I see it.
To fully understand the business models that are now emerging, and then adjust to how you track those business models. So the technical knowledge the commercial knowledge becomes very important for our staff to understand, and then they can confront the taxpayer and say this is what it is.
There's this area of technology, and it's growing very rapidly, and with its own parallel growth. Cryptocurrency. I don't know whether you're looking into being able to tap into that economy and how to. It's still a bit foggy for me. I don't understand. But I know it's something to do with blockchain and transactions happening, outside the banking system, the central banks or banking system, and people are investing, buying and selling, and using bitcoins and other currencies that are out there. For tax revenue authority, transactions are holding place, profits are being made. How do we begin to look into collecting revenue?
Normally appoint verification officers. They verify here. Okay. To make sure that it is specific to the level of detail required.
It's submitted to you first?
Yes.
Okay, now
I am allowed to appoint a team to look at that. Then they verify that it is. They are not looking at
to ensure you
the
right thing.
whether it is correct or not, in terms of you own it or not, but whether you have provided the right information in the right manner. Then completeness. Then in the manner it is required. And you declare for yourself, for your spouse, and the children below the age of 18.
18.
So then we submit that. Maybe coming to your question of cryptocurrency, this is a challenge, definitely, and all of us, we have a team right now looking at how, at policy level, how we are going to deal with it, and at tax administration level. So it's a matter that we are looking at because it is a new area of transaction and wealth creation. But we are working with the global community, including the OECD and others, in that area. For lifestyle, we are very selective because it is based on intelligence. It is intelligence driven and information from other agencies. As other agencies do their work, say our anti-corruption agency, may come across information that is affecting our staff. Then we get information from outside that these staff are significantly living beyond their means. Then we do first a preliminary, determine whether there is indeed a case. And then once that is approved, we now go a full-blown property. It's very selective, it's very expensive to do a lifestyle audit, very, very expensive indeed. But we do it very selectively. But it must be there, staff must know that that exists for deterrence. And then when we have finished that lifestyle audit and we get concrete information, then we share it with our anti-corruption agency. Because it is their law that allows them to follow unexplained assets. For us, we don't. We can only collect tax from you as our staff, and then where we have evidence of integrity issues, we can deal with them. But if it's not outright, and we are not conclusive in the manner in which you have acquired your wealth, then we forward it to our anti-corruption agency, which then will take it further from there. And I know they have been concluding some. Recently they did one, then concluded one which then they are pursuing. Ordinarily what would happen is that when things go far, that staff would resign and leave the institution, because then the anti-corruption agency will be on them. So, but it is very selective. It is not automatic. And we have to approve it, especially, I have to approve it, especially when it is touching on any senior officer. So we don't want winch hunt and all these things. And there is two stages. A preliminary stage, which must indicate how did the matter arise, how did this audit begin, was it justified? And then the preliminary bit of it, is approved, then finally a full board, and they are not many, they are limited.
We are seen, there are 3 organizations in Nigeria that are seen as accumulating its visible wealth. One is the NNPC,
The oil corporation.
the oil corporation, who is actually represented here but currently not here. The other one is
CBN.
Central Bank of Nigeria, who also is not here because they're probably busy answering questions in Senate. They're roped in there almost on a daily basis. And the third one is the executive chairman. You will notice that the 3 people missing are those 3. And when they are called by our political leaders, you don't tell them you're going to you have something booked to go to Kenya. You show up. So that, in a way, sideways answers your question for you.
And we really do hope that we will conclude that process this year. That's the target we've given ourselves as a board. The chairman of the committee, she's a member. Who's the chairman? Internal audit. CBN. Internal audit. You are the chairman, exactly. The chairman. She is the chairman of the committee, but it's a pet project of mine. So, but it's been tough, I must tell you. So we're really looking forward to learning. I mentioned to the commissioner yesterday that's in charge of strategy that we'll be working closely with him because we need support as well to make sure it doesn't take us 20 years. Yes, to have ours running.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service is not unlike yours. However, we do not collect personal income tax. That is left to the states. So our footprint, our footprint is somewhat less than yours, and yet it appears that yours is more efficient. Your tax net is wider, etc. You're collecting not more than we are, but in terms of efficiency of collection, it's definitely better. So, as brothers, as Africans, it behoves us to see what you're doing and see what we can learn. We would rather learn from you than learn from America or learn from Sweden, etc. Because we also have all those cultural issues that make these things difficult. So this sort of interface is always so much more useful than any other trip outside of Africa. On our board, we have served this board for almost 3 years. The Inland Revenue has always, like every organization, tried to develop. It has its reforms, etc. And we met it 3 years ago, doing fairly well. However, like any board, we have a tenure of 4 years. We got on with the executive chairman, who I currently represent, looking for what reforms to quickly continue with and how to lay the groundwork for continued reform after we leave or after we are asked to continue. It doesn't matter, because reform should never stop. There are many initiatives we'll be looking to start. Some are difficult. From you, we are learning which ones or how to get around them so as to quickly embed them and probably lay the groundwork for future reforms. The key thing, we're looking to see how, again, it's the third time I'm saying, how to lay the ground so reform can continue. Other countries we've looked at who've done so well is because there's been continuity. Change can happen in a year, but lasting change really is born of continued effort. It looks as if you have had the benefit of that for much longer than we have. And we look to see how, etc. And in as much as some of our senior staff are here as well, we, the board, want to learn where to push and where not to push too much. For us, it's going to be an unrivaled experience. It has been so far. Yesterday was awesome. Yesterday was supposed to have closed at 4:30. We left the MTO at 7. And quite honestly, nobody was in a hurry to go. There was just so much information coming out, and I think the last 3 presentations had to be truncated. And if we come again, please, one more time.
On behalf of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, we want to express our deep appreciation. First of all, for agreeing that we should embark on this study. We need to let you know that it's been very profitable and enriching for us. I want to believe that this, from what we gathered yesterday, had started as a level because our people have been relating to your own people, but making it formal in a way that we have the whole board coming and meeting with the board. We want to believe that we continue to have incidences like this, and maybe look forward to having you in Nigeria as well at a later time. The chairman, our acting chairman, mentioned about the hospitality that we have received. We want to appreciate you for that. Right from the very first day we came, people came to meet us at the airport. They were very patient with us. We came very early in the, I think it was about 1:30 in the morning, and they were waiting for us. They received us, took us to our hotel. The following day they came again and took us to the national park. So we really appreciate that. I personally, it's my first time in Kenya. I'm going to take with me a memory that will last for a long time. Your city is beautiful, very clean and neat. The interactions that we have had are things that when we sit on the board is going to help and to guide us. So without talking too much, let me just state again that we're very grateful to you for your warm welcome, for the opening up of your heart and what you do to us. You have been very, very open. I didn't see any sign that you are pulling some things back. You revealed everything to us, and we enjoy that very much. Thank you very much.
My colleagues in KRA, I think we in Africa will really start accelerating our forward momentum when we start talking to each other.
Yeah.
When we share our experiences, our challenges, as we have done over these last few days. I think it has been an eye opener for yourselves, as it indeed has been for us. I think this start should not be left as it is. Chairs, we should seek to enhance it at board level, but also at an operational level. Let's talk with other revenue authorities within West Africa, Central and South Africa, so that the others in the West and elsewhere start benchmarking and coming to see us.
Yeah.
We have found that we advance more when we use our own internal resource to do matters IT and so on. The same within Africa. So we're so delighted to have hosted you. We trust that you go back with pleasant memories of your visit here today, and that we formally cement the beginning of that relationship, and that we hope that we can be invited to visit you in Nigeria for a similar visit, so that really we start cementing that relationship. I thank you so much and wish you an enjoyable balance of your stay in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much.